April 2025 Soul Story. Happy Solar Returns if you have a birthday this month. It's Romy. Thanks so much for joining me on the channel. Really appreciate your time and energy. We're opening up this month with the King of Wands. Perfect. It's certainly set to be a wild and wondrous time. And I feel that you're going to be in a position to want to act now. It's almost as if the month progressively gives you more and more energy and vitality, and it's going to feel like you've got second chances to assert yourself as we see both Mercury and Venus returning into your sign. Now, even from the beginning of the month, the 3rd will see Venus conjunct with the North Node, and there's something really fated around the conversations that are taking place. Even the 4th and the 6th are bringing in harmonious cosmic conversations, and it's almost like you just see things in a new way. The penny drops, or perhaps the penny drops for somebody else, and all of a sudden they understand where you're coming from. It's a month that can offer some really deep healing and leveling and balancing. Mercury will station direct in Pisces from the 7th, and all of a sudden it just feels like you've got that green light, and there's going to be a big realization that I think also lands for you, where you're like, you know what, this isn't for me. And, you know, there's maybe something that you've had to contemplate, and March maybe brought an awful lot of tumultuous energy that you had to navigate. But we've got this empowered King of Wands that's now, you know, stepping forth with a courage and a boldness. And it's almost like you're asking yourself the question, you know, this is my life. Like, what do I want to pay attention to right now? Now, as we approach the full moon in Libra on the 12th, we're also going to see Venus stationing direct. We also have a Cazimi with Chiron, and there's so much fire energy building that's going to be really supportive for you. Now, the 5 of Swords feels to me that you are facing something that had felt like a deep wound or disappointment or challenge. And, you know, maybe there's also a reminder not to act too rashly through the course of April, which could be quite easily done because that amount of fire is really motivating you. So we want you motivated, but we also want you mindful, okay? But I think there's also this recognition that you weren't lost. You were perhaps looking in the wrong places. And so that full moon almost is the release. And I almost feel like it's you releasing the part of yourself that kept trying to sabotage. And sometimes that's done consciously and sometimes it's very subconscious. But the healing journey that you've been on, and particularly the insight from the conversation with Chiron in your sign at that full moon, and Venus shifting direct as well, you know, all kind of coalescing in this acceptance from you that it's like, okay, I don't want to be that person anymore. I'm not going to engage with that pattern anymore. And what I'm intending to do moving forward is about really recognizing the right steps for me. And I feel like for you this month, Aries, it's not about needing more knowledge. You don't need to go out and acquire anything new. It's about using what you already have and the real integration that's coming from that, okay? This is about working on you for you. Now, we do see on the 14th asteroid goddess Juno going retrograde from Sagittarius into Scorpio. So there's a little bit of a jealous energy that gets sparked around that time. And, you know, we know that you have a natural competitiveness as well. So just be aware that some of this alertness and realization and clarity that is landing for you might stir up in others some of that envy or jealous tendencies, and it may be a little bit more passive aggressive. It could come through quite directly, but you yourself might also be a little bit triggered in some aspects, so just keep mindful about that. We also on the same day have Saturn conjunct with the North Node, and it's almost like a little bit of a leveling karmic check-in. So again, when I talk about this motivated but mindful, just keep an eye on how some of that more frustrated energy is building and how it's affecting you. And, you know, it's very easy to be triggered and then have an emotional response that's out of character or out of sync or alignment with what you have been working so hard and so diligently to direct and harness in a really positive way for you. Okay, so keep that in mind as you come away from that full moon. But I do think that there's healing conversations that are super helpful. Now, you are still going to be dealing with some friction through the month of April, okay, so keep that in mind. But on the 15th, when Mercury comes back into your sign, okay, initially moved in on March the 3rd, here we go, we've got the Chariot. So, you know, Mercury now direct, also back in this cardinal fire that really sings to your soul, and you just have this willingness to kind of bet on yourself. You know, no one knows how hard it's been. You know, no one knows how hard it's been for you. And this is the moment where you're like, you know what? I deserve the break. I deserve to take this chance. I deserve to take this leap. I deserve to believe in me and trust in me and count on me. Because you know what it's taken to be able to maintain or sustain or just to kind of keep going, right? And there's definitely something around the conversation in April, this wild, wondrous energy that can afford you opportunities to really power forward. Now remember, the Chariot always says where there's a will, there's a way. So it might not even be a pathway that looks necessarily particularly clear. And that can also feel a bit frustrating. And if you do have some challenges that are brought about by that energy of the Five of Swords, you've got the best possible ally in the King of Wands, because he's just going to help you to advocate for yourself and to just keep pursuing different solutions and different approaches, and you're gonna hit on the right one. There's the Magician, right? The combination of these two are going to be super powerful for you. It puts you in quite a you know, a genius kind of zone almost. It's just like there's a kind of realization of remembering what you're good at and applying it in any sort of area of your life that has felt a little bit difficult or a little bit challenging. Now we then have Mars shifting into a fire sign on the 17th. So coming into Leo, again, there's this realization that you've got more energy and drive, and the action that you're ready to take also feel like it really suits your sort of bigger plan or your bigger vision. You've got these soulful goals that are sort of coming back online. Now, the one thing I want you to remember before we then shift out of you know, the energy of Aries and into Taurus is that the external abundance is not going to fill any void of internal scarcity that might still be lingering or going on for you. So you're going to have to address that in a more direct way than you have up to this point, because as we start to see some powerful shifts and changes in your external world, there's got to be a balancing in the internal experience so that you can feel deserving and entitled and ready to receive. Okay, otherwise we're going back around that loop of sabotaging, back to this energy, the Five of Swords. Now, the Alchemist and the King of Wands is also telling me that you're going to have to just keep trying. That the first door that you knock on, you know, might stay locked. The first time you try to promote something, it might fall flat. The first time you ask someone on a date, you might get rejected. It's like, whatever it is, there's going to be sort of multiple you know, tries before you maybe hit on the success, but the success is coming. The Chariot is an indication of that. But you might have to go a little way on the journey, right? And that's about, again, your self-belief and how you're championing, you know, what you're capable of and what you're ready for. Now, the sun shifts into Taurus, and then we're going to light up your second house. Remember, all through your solar returns, you're sort of playing with this new version of you. Like, how does it feel? There's a sort of road test experience. And, you know, as you come into the Taurus energy, then there's something that needs to be addressed. Now, I want to call out on the 20th, we do have Mars, your ruling planet, opposing Pluto. So there is a clash. It can be a little bit of an instability energy, somewhat volatile. We've got the Six of Staffs, something quite public, something that feels like it's stirring up the tensions of people around you. Maybe something that lands in the collective, but it disrupts your energy a little bit. But on the internal, it might sort of create a little bit of a crisis point, right, where you realize that something needs to be faced, something needs to be addressed. You then have a little bit of time as we build up to the new moon in Taurus on the 27th to get super grounded. Now, I think the overall energy of April is one that brings passion in spades, right, and you're really going to be able to tap into that. But it's also one that's bringing about grounded transformation. These shifting tides are epic. And, you know, this is the wave that you can ride. You know, you can surf this one and feel like it's not dragging you under. I do think you also have, as I said, some success with the repeated attempts. So please do not give up the first time and do not get despondent or get hard on yourself, okay? And it may feel that you're a little bit battered and bruised at times, but there is so much momentum that I feel is helping you, that this is going to make a massive difference. So if there are people around you that are not on board, or you're still in a period of trying to negotiate or figure something out with someone, or, you know, convince or try to present yourself in a way that helps you to achieve or to attain where, you know, where you're supposed to be and what you know is supposed to be happening, like, trust in that. There's going to be big, direct, strong signs from the universe for you this month, okay? And that new moon in Taurus feels like you have a sort of a game plan, if you like, that, don't get me wrong, it feels a bit stressful because maybe there is something that you need to do or that you're going to have to deal with that's a little bit more uncomfortable. But once you've done it, you're going to realize that it was the best thing that you could have done. And you're maybe going to think, I wished I hadn't put it off for so long. But in all honesty, I think the timing, the divine timing, is just brought it to a point where it was going to have to be now. It was going to have to be at this moment, okay? Now, you also, by the end of April, will have Venus coming back into Aries. So again, this feeling of second chances, being able to assert yourself, and all of the reflections and the realizations that you've had, you know, through her retrograde season, what happened 8 years ago, what you've just gone through in the last few weeks, you know, now is sort of seen in a new way with new clarity. And yes, as I said, there's still some friction going on, and there's some, you know, stress that's being applied. Now, sometimes we create stress for ourselves, right, by the way that we are interpreting or approaching something. You know, it can also just stir up an old pattern or trigger for us. But it also may be that, you know, someone else is applying some pressure to you toward the end of April. But this is, as I said, a month of fire, but it's also a powerful month of fate. And so what's meant for you is happening, and no one can stop that, okay? No one can prevent you from moving forward on a pathway that has emerged and a destiny that is underway for you. So what you need to do is realize that this is a month to work on you, for you, but to stay motivated, but also mindful, right? So if you're new to the channel, our last 3 cards we're going to look at in the extended reading. We talk for another 25 minutes or so. We'll also look at a personal question and a relationship card for you, just to go deeper into this solar returns month for you. I hope you'll join me. It just helps me to keep showing up for the free readings, and the support of my work is really appreciated. I'm going to go ahead and clarify the main cards and just see, you know, some of the messages that are going to come through for this extended reading. So we've got our King of Wands, we've got another Six of Wands. You're definitely getting some strong recognition energy through the course of this month. There's our challenge again, but see, the outcome feels good. Chariot, we've got Five of Swords again, Ace of Cups, and what about this Magician, the Knight of Swords? The power of your words can land in really strong ways this month. We've got Hierophant, Ten of Swords. What about this 8? Five of Wands, and the Tower. Okay. Now, please do check out romywiser.com. It's my website. You're going to find my sacred titles. Are you working with my journal? Are you working with my oracle deck? Do you have a copy of my book? Like, these are beautiful sacred titles that I've created to support you in your journey, right? They're going to help remind you who you are, where you're at, and it's just such a source of daily inspiration and, you know, helping you to discover answers for yourself, right? You'll also find ways to work with me if you're after a personal reading. You can explore my membership and all my other sacred products, all right? So romywiser.com. Right, we've got Spirit Crane, Dance with the Divine. We have Karmic Cause and Effect. We've got the Spirit Horse, Sovereign Power. I love that, along with a Chariot. Spirit Bear, Ancestral Protection. We've got that Full Moon, Soulful Surrender. And remember, the full moon in Libra is going to hit on your 7th house, but it's a healing energy, right? You know, Chiron has a lot to say. Venus is stationing direct, and so, you know, the choices and decisions and the conclusions that you arrive at, even if there's some pain that comes with it, because remember, you know, Chiron will stir things up a little bit, but at the same time it just feels cathartic, you know, so you realize, you know, this is done, or this is what needs to happen, or this is my truth. And, you know, it may be a little bittersweet, but actually I think it will bring you a huge sense of relief and some peace of mind. So we're just going to have a look at a couple of oracles again to explore in the extended. We've got Ursa Major and Vows. Okay. And then we're going to look at an animal spirit card for you for the month ahead. What do we have for Aries? You've got the energy of the turtle. Okay, we're going to explore these in the extended. I hope you'll join me. Have a beautiful solar returns. Enjoy this month. It's going to be a powerful one. Ride the wave. Act now and be motivated and mindful. I'm going to see you next time, Aries. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate you. Take care.